You're welcome back. It's still breakfast weekend. We know that in a country, the development pattern of the country is mostly attached to the natural resources that such country has. But it's not just limited to that, it's also attached to the capacity of the people in such country and the institutions as well. That is why we have a human capital developer in the studio with us to talk about this issue, to talk about capacity building for national development. His name is Asiwaju Azeez Olasunkande. Thank you for joining us, sir.
Thank you very much.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. How are you as well?
I'm okay.
So let's talk about capacity building.
Okay.
On the individual level, what is it about?
It's all about making a conscious effort, basically to be able to harness the potential innate in individual. And by that I mean an effort that individual actually put in place to ensure that he become what he's capable of becoming by harnessing potential in individual to be able to be, to fit for purpose in terms of job, in terms of social interaction, economic development, and what have you. And of course, it dovetails from individual to organization to national, and of course global. And that is why you see some countries today. There are many countries that actually we started together as a nation. Talk about Singapore. Singapore today is not where we are. Why? Or because just like what the moderator rightly said, individual has that innate potential, to be better, to become finished product through conscious effort, to be able to really get the best from them, given the right environment, the right learning opportunity for them to really discover themselves so that they can actually do what they know how to do better and of course add value in the society.
Would we not say that the process of educating ourselves, going to school, is already an avenue for us to develop our capacity?
Yes, that is the first step. You and I in the studio today, let's go back to those days when we were so young. I see us as raw material. It is the process of education, the learning, processes, phases that metamorphose us from raw material to finished product to become what we are doing today. Assuming education is not there, forget it. That's why in the corporate world, we say if you don't train them, don't blame them. If you don't train them, don't blame them. And what else again? Learning is an asset. It follows the learner anywhere he goes. And that's why I always tell many organizations, the more you train your people, the better they have for you. Why? Because they will actually be able to do what they are unable to do in the past. But because of that conscious effort, articulate way of getting people developed through curriculum that are relevant to individual, it makes them to become better than the way they were.
Interesting. When we're also talking about capacity building, we have to talk about competence.
Yeah.
And because people have different levels of competence, when you're talking about building the competence they have,
It's okay.
learning speed is also a thing. And so when one person is learning at a faster speed, the other person is maybe not getting better at that rate that the first person is. Won't we be leaving one person behind? And don't forget that we're working towards national development, or at least the organization's development. How do we ensure that everyone is carried along at the same pace when we're doing capacity building?
Thank you very much. You will recall that we all belong to different nature and different nurture.
Sure.
Somebody that is actually brought up in an elitist environment can actually not be likened to somebody who is actually brought up in a ghetto. And that is the reason why curriculum developers, they have a way of ensuring that the fast learner, they don't slow them down, and the slow learner, they don't take them faster than what their capability and their senses knowledge can take. So balancing the act is actually the role of a curriculum developer at the educational level. But go to the corporate world. That's why we actually have pre-test training for individual. Is to enable them to know where they are so that they can actually meet them at their point of need. So in other words, the curriculum developer, either in the corporate world, in the educational sector of the economy, it is their responsibility to be conscious and articulate the deployment of curriculum in a way and manner that we make individual to really key in and of course get the key learning from what they are doing. Otherwise, efforts will be in futility. And that is why in the corporate world, there's what we call, before you go into any training training is not a jamboree. I can afford to be jamboree, but there's always expectation, and that expectation, the corporate, what we call is return on investment. And how do I mean? Number one, you have to identify the training need. There must be the need for a training. Number two, you must often determine the training. You now go ahead to design curriculum that will address and close the gap. Having done that, it's not end there. It doesn't end there. You also go to deliver. You deliver or you deploy the knowledge content to be able to process, impart knowledge on individual. And at the end of the day, you also need to evaluate whether the person has actually garnered required knowledge, or his skill has been sharpened as a result of that training. If
how do you evaluate?
Well, there are many ways to do that. As I said earlier on, you can actually conduct what I call pre-training, pre-test, pre-training test, where you know where they were, as it were, raw before they enter the class. After the class too, you can also give them some tests. It could be written, it could be practical, it could be hands-on.
To know if they've learned anything.
If they've learned anything. Not only that, I could recollect. I was a head of learning center in one of the sovereign giant conglomerates in Nigeria. I designed a form that actually is like a contract form. Before you go for a program, you want to know where you are, and we let you know ABCD of the objective that you are going to achieve there. And of course, there will be a contract between the line manager and the employee, and they're actually going to give a commitment. When I come back, the key learning points, which we call KLP, ABCD are the way and method I'm going to get it done. 3 months down the line, it's my job as the head of learning center through my department to do what? To conduct one-on-one observation, investigation on where we were, where are you today, is there any problem, were you given the right environment, the right leadership, the tools, the resources that you actually need to perform. If you are performing above where you were, it shows that there's a return on investment.
All of this is assuming that the individual wants to change, because change is something that is relative for a number of people. How do you carry along people who may be hesitant or reluctant to change?
Well, why the next concern about that is, why are they hesitant? Is it because of the environment? Is it because of the management style? Is it because of the prevailing? Sometimes I conducted a program in Dubai. Some directors of some federal agency, they came around. You know what they did? They signed for as attendant, and they went to Dubai to do buying instead of coming to Dubai to learn. By the time we finished the program, 2 days to that program, they came back and they wanted to get certificate. I said, no, I don't do that. As a consultant, my integrity is at stake. The certificate you are taking around must speak volume by the time you are performing on the job. How do I want to, really, as Riley said, you cannot actually you can only force a horse to the river. You cannot force it to drink. Yes. And that's the reason why that the way you train adults is not the way you educate children. That's why we have andragogy, we have pedagogy. So in other words, we make learning to be enabling, to be motivating, to the extent that if you don't attend, you have missed something, right? But however, anything can change, but attitude might be difficult. And that's why they said attitude, we find it difficult to actually change if you don't put the right thing there. You need to do some investigation. Why are they not interested? People that have attended the training before, what came out of them? Am I communicating? So it's our job, because in other words, a willing mind, you cannot impose a willing mind on an unwilling mind. A willing trainer cannot be imposed on an unwilling trainee, and that's why there must be that concurrent of agreement in ensuring that I'm coming around. You come here around, you invited me for this program. I'm motivated to come, and that is why I'm here on time. So we should also do things that will make people to want to learn, because that's why they say if you don't train them, don't blame them. Learning is an asset. The day you stop to learn is the day you stop to earn. So all these motivating factors need to really be explained, be shared, and articulated to individuals that are concerned, so that they be willing and able to want to learn.
Some of this training is usually learning and maybe talking and everything. How do you translate that from the training into your a hands-on approach into your work, your job, or your institution, or however, how do you translate it? Some of the ones I see.
It's okay. Well, incidentally, I happen to be a vice president to National Nigeria Institute of Trade and Development, and one of the things we actually preach there is training has gone beyond reading the slide. Adults can read, and that's why we usually have breakout session where some of these principal concepts you are sharing, people have what we call through case studies, hands-on. You understand? Case study, you allow them to practice what you taught them in the class in a miniature way. And not only that, again, if it is within an organization, all you need to do is to confirm where they are, where they were, versus where they are after the program. And not only that, it's one thing to actually allow individuals to learn, it's other thing to allow them to practice it. And that is where line manager have a key role to play in ensuring that what they learned there in the classroom, by the time they come back on the job, they allow them, they give them the resources, they give them the right leadership, the ambience, the environment that are enabling, that are motivating for them to be able to learn. So through that, empirically, you can actually compare apple with apple and not apple with mango. Where they were versus where they are and where they're going to be.
All right. Well, this is where we'll be rounding it off now.
Okay.
We've quite learned a lot from you. But I'm also thinking about people who set unrealistic goals for themselves. How do you help them realize which is proper for their level? You talked about comparing apple with apple. For example, an apple that says, no, I'm not an apple, I should be a guava. Yes, they have the ability to become guava someday, but you're apple presently. How do you get them to realize that without downgrading them, without making them feel bad, that this is the level that you're at, and maybe this is the way to get to where you want to be?
It's okay. When you say goal setting, in the corporate world we call it KPI, key performance indicator. Historically, there will be what was the last target achieved, and where are we today? For me to go beyond where I am, where you want me to be, what are the things that you are doing differently? Maybe you are giving me resources I have not been given. I've been motivated where I've never been motivated. The market is there, for us to actually, for me to put in effort that will actually make our product to be best among equal in the marketplace. So a goal must be smart. That is to say, specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and time-bound. Any goal outside this purview of 5 dimensions, 5 parameters, in fact, they will actually be failed on arrival.
Thank you very, very much for coming on the show. We have been speaking with Asiwaju Azeez Olasunkande, who's a human capital developer. Thank you for coming on the show.
It's a pleasure.
And this is where we'll also have to wrap up on the show this morning. It's been amazing, Wura, don't you agree?
It's been wonderful.
We've learned a lot. There's Barka de Salah to all our Muslim faithful out there. We wish you a happy celebration. And don't forget to send the ram this way as well. We don't mind. As far as it's ram, I'm with you on it. So just send me the address. Alright, until next Saturday, my name is Ayo Durojai. Bye for now.
My name is Wura Olakomi. Have a wonderful celebration. Bye.